O'Kane.
Here.
Shaner.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Waters.
Here.
Moore.
Here. Stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Interview for the Art Center Board of Trustees, Shelby Prindeville. Shelby, you want to come forward and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve?
Hi, I'm Shelby Prindeville. I am the art department head at Morningside University and currently serving my second term as the president of the Sioux City Art Center Board of Trustees. And so my overall term is, for the first 2-year block, I think, is coming to an end. And they've asked me if I'd be willing to re-serve, and I am. I'm a professional artist and art educator and have been doing that for a number of years.
And you said yes.
I did say yes.
Thank you for doing that.
Of course, yeah.
You're a great addition to it.
Thank you.
Question.
Appreciate it. Appreciate your willingness to serve. That's for
Of course.
Is there any boards yet that Morningside isn't represented on? Are we missing any?
Step it up, don't
They
they?
believe in public service,
Okay,
Mayor.
that's
They
good to
believe in
hear.
public
Thank you
service.
for applying.
Yeah,
We do.
thank you.
So much.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right,
you.
we'll let you know. Thank you. We're going to go to the consent agenda, which is items 3 through 12F that consider to pass unless a council member asks for a vote. If you want to speak on an item, please come up as I read that item and state your name and address. And if you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
3 is the reading of the November 20th City Council minutes. 4 is a resolution temporarily closing Pierce Street from 5th to 6th on December 8th for the Nutcracker performance at the Orpheum. 5 is a resolution inviting proposals for land in the Donner Park urban renewal area, announcing the intent to accept the proposal of the Sioux City Explorers Baseball Club and scheduling a hearing. I know it's not going to pass, but what the heck? I think 12 years is too long. Matt, you say they have to go in increments of 3 years, so I'm going to move that we do a 9-year lease. I think that gives other council members, I mean, you could go almost 3 councils before people would get to vote on this. So I just think that's too long. I've thought that on a lot of things. I normally lose, but I'm still going to make the motion.
Well, and I understand both sides of this argument, right? I think it can be tricky. Like when you're negotiating something and you're making an investment, you're asking the entity to make an investment similar in other contracts. So you have to look long-term. They have to see a long-term vision and can't be, cut short-sighted. So that's why it gets negotiated that way. I had actually urged that as well, just a little bit shorter, just to make sure we were seeing improvements and working towards the same goals and same things. I don't know if 9 years is a better agreement. I don't even know if that would fly. And I know that they went through several rounds of negotiations to get here. Whether or not this passes, one thing that I was going to urge the adoption of or ask or request was really just to get an update before the council twice a year, once at mid-season, once at the end of the season. I thought that would be really helpful to get to some of the things I was talking about before entering negotiations, such as where we are in attendance, where we are with public participation or just community involvement. I think that's what I said. And then just looking at capital projects. And I thought if you could come mid-season and talk about what some of the things that are going on, some of the promotions, that would give us an opportunity to share that with the press and know a little bit more. And then at the end of the year, we would have a better idea how the season went overall. I am not a big fan of giving people more work to do with little resources, and I know you guys are all working hard. But if there would be an opportunity to at least update the council, we can agree on a date midway through the season and then towards the end of the season wrap up. That's what I was going to propose, just so we're staying on the same page. And I guess my question would maybe be to Matt. I mean, I understand the mayor's the mayor's concern with these long-term contracts. I get that, but I don't know, after the rounds of negotiation, I mean, this is, I'm sure, the best agreement that was worked out and come up with. And
Matt Salvatore, Parks and Recreation Director. I think the 12 years is where we landed because that was what was requested in the RFQ. So that was kind of the starting point. Staff didn't have a problem with it, but.
With their RFQ.
Their RFQ,
With
yes.
theirs, not with theirs.
Not ours, correct. That's what they proposed. So that's kind of where we landed. But this is just inviting proposals, so we're at a point where we can still make changes prior to approving a final lease. So that feedback and any other feedback is welcomed at this time, and we can make changes.
Well, if the rest of the council doesn't have a problem with it, that's fine. I'm not going to vote for it. That doesn't matter to anybody either, but, and I'll be perfectly honest. When you made your proposal of so much money, there wasn't anything that said, we put a lot of money in the park the last couple of years, a lot of money. And there was nothing that was said about, we have to put so much in to put back in the park. But now that's part of this, 50,000 a year has to go back in the park. That wasn't part of your original request for proposals. So we don't know that the other group didn't have a better deal, quite frankly. And that's what's a little bit alarming to me, because this now is a $50,000 a year deal, basically, for the benefit of the city. But anyway.
Why was 12 years decided?
Because it would go 3 years with the league.
Well, 3 years worth, but why 12? Why was it set out to 12 years specifically?
Good afternoon. Tom Backmar, the Vice President and General Manager with the Explorers. Appreciate your time. The 12 years was just for long-term stability and to match the affiliation agreement with our league, which, as Matt said, is in 3-year increments. I will say that our league will not consider a short-term lease. So traditionally, any ballpark lease that our league would consider would be 10 years or above. And so we felt with the commitment that we were making and the increased commitment that the 12 years made sense. Provides us long-term stability to be able to continue to grow not only our commitment to the community, but to grow what we do at the ballpark, and just gives us the assurance that the Explorers will be able to continue to provide the affordable family fund for the long term.
You said you have to have a minimum of 10 years?
So there's not a written rule with our league. Our league requests that we secure long-term agreements. So they have sent a note that they would prefer an agreement of at least 10 years, but I don't have anything in writing saying it has to be that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, it'll be back, and then we'll actually vote on the agreement. So 6 are actions relating to annual reports. A is a motion approving the Art Center Board of Trustees annual report. B is a motion approving the Human Rights Commission annual report. C is a motion approving the Transit System Advisory Board annual report.
Just a few call outs for that. I'm going to go A, B, C, get them all out. So for the Art Center attendance, just for gallery visits, 34,987 actual counted visitors. I think that's huge. That was pretty impressive. And our volunteer hours this last fiscal year, which ended July, was 1,379 volunteer hours combined, which I thought was great. For B, the Human Rights Commission, we had 11 additional, I don't know how to phrase this, 11 additional new cases and 11 more findings that were issued, so I felt like that was really huge. And we had 6 less of a carryover compared to our previous year. So we're carrying over less cases as well, which is something to be applauded as well. And then last up, Mike, ridership continued to go up over, almost 10%, which is significant. So that, coupled with our ridership increase from last year, puts us at about 25% total, right? Which I think is something worth applauding as well. You've really done good at advertising our transit options and getting people back on the bus, which is great. So thank you for that.
Else? Okay. Actions relating to finance. 7A is a resolution approving the tax increment finance annual certification of compliance and urban renewal report. B is a resolution certifying the tax increment financing debt for taxable valuations. C is a resolution declaring an official intent to issue debt to reimburse the city for original expenditures paid for specific projects. D is a resolution approving advances of funds for repayment from the city's urban renewal tax increment revenue funds and directing the filing of the certification. 8 are actions relating to grants. A is a resolution approving an Amendment 1 to the grant agreement with the Iowa Economic Development Authority, City of Sergeant Bluff, City of Lamarche for the Siouxland Regional Trail System Project. B is a resolution accepting a lead hazardous reduction grant from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. C is a resolution approving an amendment to the lead hazard reduction grant agreement. 9 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving a post-construction stormwater management plan, maintenance agreement and easement with Cold Link Logistics and accepting an easement. B is a resolution approving a letter of understanding with the Regional Convention and Visitors Bureau. C is a motion authorizing a letter of intent with the National Guard Bureau for funding of an environmental assessment for the runway 1331 reconstruction project at the airport. This is a huge deal for our Guard unit, and thank you guys, for all of you, for the work you've done to get us to this stage. This is money that's owed to your Guard unit from agreements that they've never honored, and so we're thankful that they're finally realizing that and getting it going, so thank you. D is a resolution approving a work order with RS&H Iowa for the runway 1331 reconstruction project at the airport. 10 are actions authorizing payments. A is a resolution authorizing early release of funds to W.A. Klinger for the Chris Larson Park Riverfront Development Project. I've had the chance to talk to the contractor. I've talked to Matt. I'm still really uncomfortable that where we're at with this. Again, it's not going to matter, but I'd be remiss if I didn't express my concerns. I think the architect has, after talking to everybody, the architect should be sharing in this additional cost, because if Klinger told him the soil wouldn't grow grass, and we didn't do anything to change that, Klinger, you got your own problems that we've talked about, in my opinion, but they've got a little responsibility too. When you have a contractor that went to the expense of doing the soil testing themselves and said, this won't grow grass, but we said go ahead and plant it anyway. Now, come on, somebody messed up here. And now the citizens are going to get to spend $100, who knows what, fixing a problem that we could have maybe addressed a little bit more economically on the front side had we done what we should have done, and that's haul some topsoil in. So I'm really.
What would you propose, or what would you like to see?
Well, I think
I don't want them forcing Klinger's hand, or doing that either.
I just think that when you bring something to an engineer, they have a responsibility if they say this will grow grass and it doesn't. And you don't have to be very bright around here to know that you got to have fescue in grass if you're going to expect it to last all summer without irrigation. You better have some fescue mix in that grass. I mean, that's what I put in my backyard because it's the only thing that would grow. So where's the architect on this deal? He just saying, not our problem?
Matt Salvatore, Parks and Recreation Director. Yeah, I mean, there's several things in the scope that may or may have not been followed by both parties. So you can point fingers either way, but as of now, the architect engineer doesn't have any responsibility for the cost of moving forward with irrigation and sod.
Well, are we paying them an extra fee to design the irrigation system too?
No.
That's to your credit. I don't know. I mean, this is not, we can talk about this when you final out the job, but it's just not right that architects and engineers can do whatever they want, and they're never responsible around here. I'm not wired that way, as Gordon will probably already figured out after 1 week on the job, but they have a responsibility just like everybody else in a construction project. The contractor's not always wrong. Again, I think Klinger does have more responsibility than what's shown here, but besides, they have responsibilities to deliver a product, especially when they're told something's not going to work.
I will have a conversation with them, and then we can bring that back when the final pay application comes forward for council approval.
That probably makes sense, because it sounds like it's pretty convoluted or complex, and we need to probably discern whose responsibility, or, you know, where does it lie and how does it shake out. It sounds good.
But I'm on the record, I want to make sure, you've said this, Amber said it, this is not substantial completion. You're just advancing the 95. See, Gordon, you can't advance the 95% and not penalize the contractor. It's possible to do that.
Correct. This is just early release of retained.
B is a resolution authorizing payment to Inch project. E is a resolution approving fund transfers for October. F is a motion approving the total expenses for October. 11 are applications for beer and liquor license, 12 boards and commission and committee meetings. Anyone to be heard on any of those items? Passes 5-0. 13 is a hearing and resolution accepting the proposal of road machinery and supplies for the land in the Donner Park Urban Renewal Area and directing the city manager to negotiate a development agreement. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed.
I want to thank the mayor for his efforts on this project. So thank you.
It's going to be a good project. It frees up a building, another building too, is what's nice. Passes 5-0. Citizen concerns. Any citizen have any concerns, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, council concerns.
All right, well, this one is thanks to J.D. Schulten for digging up some information. And this was a recent history lesson. In 2 days is the 80-year anniversary, I'm not sure if you'd call it an anniversary or not, of the death of Major Vincent Harrington, who served for the United States Army Air Corps in the Second World War. He was from Sioux City, and he served in the U.S. House of Representatives until FDR disallowed members of Congress from serving. And so he gave up his seat in Congress to go fight in World War II. That is my little tidbit to share for today. That's everything.
Julie.
I don't have anything today. Just coming off of a nice holiday, beautiful snow, ready to face the world.
Alex.
Few different things. Number one, I just wanted to remind everyone that it's NAIA week. We'll be welcoming a lot of teams to our community. I'm excited to watch some of the action, to go down and cheer on some teams. Should be a really good time. With that in mind, I always try to make sure our restaurants know and are prepared for an influx of people, but I just want to make sure we're as welcoming as we can be. It's pretty special when they get to this level of competition, and I know that it means a great deal to those athletes to be able to participate at this level and to get where they are. And so I think sometimes it seems like old hat to us, and that another year NAIA is here, but to those athletes that are coming here to play, it is a huge deal that they made it to the national tournament. And so we want to make sure to welcome them and show them a really good time, welcome them throughout our community, answer any questions that they have, but just overall be welcoming, and make sure to put our best foot forward. The other thing I wanted to mention was seeing our Explore Sioux City crew reminded me we have a ribbon cutting for them on Thursday. Their space, as well as Downtown Partners, will be having a joint space down on 4th Street. So if, right next to the expansion center, right in there. So please make sure to join if you can. Starts at 4:30 this Thursday. The last thing that I would mention, and it was actually something that Julie said that prompted my memory of this, which was about the snowfall. I just wanted to remind folks that you do have a responsibility to clear the sidewalk out in front of your home. I know sometimes it can be cold, it can be frustrating, but it's really important that you get out there and do that. I know that I've tried to navigate different sidewalks from time to time and can struggle, and I see a lot of kids that go out and are trying to get to the bus stop and are having to shuffle through the street, things like that if you haven't cleared off your sidewalk. So please be a responsible neighbor and a responsible community member, and remember to clear your sidewalks for the safe passage so those can get where they need to go. But other than that, I think that's all I have, Mayor.
You didn't want to say go Concordia Dogs?
Yeah, I mean, I begrudgingly, like, maybe I need to go cheer them on, or like go G-Pack, I don't know, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you were.
Uh-huh.
Dan?
Just a couple things. I want to thank Christy Friends from the Tourism Board for the Sioux City Sox that I was able to present to the Yamanashi City delegation. They were a hit. So thank you, and thank you. And I would not have been aware of that except you came and gave us a report the week before, and we're off and running with the Sioux City Sox. And I've never announced this before, and there's always a first time, but, you know, I'm so excited about the Vikings-Bears game tonight. I can
You
hardly,
should be.
I can hardly just stop my enthusiasm. It's hard to stop it.
If the Vikings don't beat the Bears, you should be excited. We're going to try to get that first draft pick. That's all we're working for. We're going to lose out. We're going to lose out. That's our plan, right?
That's all I have, Mayor.
I don't know if I know Alex has, but I went fishing a week ago up in Okoboji, and the trail is pretty much poured between
Yeah,
Lamar's and Merrill, if you haven't been up that way, and it looks really good.
I noticed that.
And I know that there will be farmers that disagree with me, but it doesn't appear to adversely affect most of the farm community, which is good, because it shouldn't, but I think that's going to be a real plus for this area, so.
That's the plywood trail.
Plywood Trail, that's right, first leg.
It's not made out of plywood. Do you know that there have been people who thought it was made out
I know.
of plywood?
Oh,
I understand.
say, you hear it a lot.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Shaner,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.